California Democrats say they're trying to protect the environment, but why are they doing nothing to stop Mexico from dumping raw sewage onto our beaches and bays? A new report cites the public health risks. That's all coming up and more today on Reform California. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and these are the top stories we're following today. There's a new report out from San Diego State University researchers that highlights a, quote, public health emergency in San Diego County, stemming from the dumping of raw sewage by Mexico. Baja California elected officials, Mexican government officials, for the past 50, 60 years have done nothing to treat their sewage water and to basically run a proper wastewater system like any other, civilized nation or region. They've decided just to continue to dump raw sewage into the Tijuana River. And you know why? The water flows north, not south. You know damn well that if these government officials knew that the sewage water would flow south to Rosarito and other places and hit Mexican beaches and put Mexicans at a risk of getting various illnesses, that they would actually treat their poo water and do something about the problem. But no, because Americans have to bear the brunt, they're doing nothing at all. What's appalling about this is that on our side of the border, we have politicians that are silent. They're not acting. They're not taking any sort of extraordinary measures. This is insane. You've got these Democrats who hoot and holler and are always saying, ban the plastic bags. It's going to destroy the environment. But what are they doing about raw sewage making people sick and shutting down our beaches and bays to tourists, which again impacts our economy? This is an economic problem. This is a public health problem. And California Democrats are showing that they are nothing but a bunch of hypocrites. They don't want to offend our partners in the South, our binational border partners. Look, ever heard of good fences keep for good neighbors? If your neighbor is dumping raw sewage on your front lawn, you do something about it. But apparently not Gavin Newsom, not California Democrats. They don't want to offend. It's an environmental hazard. It's a real public health hazard. During COVID, Gavin Newsom and Democrats fell all of them over themselves to say, we're following the science. And they're obviously taking away our rights and forcing us to do things that during COVID had no benefit whatsoever. But here is another data-driven scientific report. Headline: SDSU Report calls Tijuana River contamination a public health crisis. We know people are getting sick, but we don't have politicians doing anything about it. And by the way, it would not be hard to fix this problem. More on that in just a minute. So this story goes on to talk about water and air contamination from the sewage being strewn about, and it has a number of public health impacts. And they use the word crisis. They also identify a number of impacts directly of bottlenose dolphins stranded in San Diego dying from infection by bacteria generally transmitted through contact with feces or urine. By the way, where's PETA? PETA's out there, hooting and hollering about SeaWorld and the various aquatic shows that they have. PETA hasn't gone down to the border demanding that U.S. government officials take action against their Mexican counterparts. No. It's almost as though they're not really genuine and sincere about their concern on the environment. They go on to say that the public health crisis has been a long time coming. It's a cumulative risk of health problems caused by the presence of pollutants rather than just the observation of increases in observed illnesses. Now, this is interesting, though, because I talk to Border Patrol agents who have to wade through this crap, literally wade through the crap, as well as surfers who talk about all sorts of rashes and respiratory infections that they're getting. This is absolutely bolstered by observing illness rates. Um, it's also proven by the contaminant levels in the water and the number of days during the year that our beaches are shut in South San Diego County. When you take a look at Imperial Beach and even Coronado, the Coronado Del, those beaches have been shut more than half of the year because of contaminated water off the shore. And people can't surf, they can't go in the water. That is a major drag on the economy. And a lot of people don't even know, and they go in the water even before they're notified of the contaminant levels being so high. And so the federal government continues to say, well, we'll throw a little money at it, $300 million. Here it talks about $310 million in an appropriation bill that several members of Congress are asking for. And that's on top of $350 million already allocated to repair an existing U.S. government federal wastewater treatment plant. But that is completely overwhelmed by the flow of raw sewage from our Mexican counterparts. So why is it that we have to treat the sewage water from Mexico? No one's ever explained that to us. More on that in a minute, because I'm going to talk about my solution. We also have the Navy SEALs being impacted. Quote, we know Navy SEALs have had to cancel training sessions due to contaminated water. So our military has to cancel training exercises because of the Mexican government officials and their negligence. How much more do you need to see? Why is this being swept under the rug by these elected officials? Now, I mentioned a plan. 3 years ago, I released a plan kind of borrowing President Trump's framing of issues. I said, we need to build a toilet bowl, make Mexico pay for it, and close the border any day that their sewage closes one of our beaches. That's my 3-step plan. I think it's pretty sensible. I think it has a stream of accountability in it. First and foremost, if Mexican officials aren't going to build a wastewater treatment plant, then we should just do it. Whether it's $300 million or $1 billion, build it, because if they're not going to do it, we should. Then we should send them the invoice and say, hey, this is the treatment plant you should have built on your side of the border. So we did it for you. Here is the invoice. And by the way, here's how we're going to get the money. We're going to tax remittances, whatever the vehicle is. Believe me, it will be easy to get that money and force the Mexicans to pay for the cost of treating their own sewage. And finally, shut down the damn border. Any day that one of our beaches is shut down because of their sewage water, we should shut the border down for the same day. You want to see politicians on both sides of the border start taking action, falling all over themselves? Hey, when you threaten the flow of cheap labor because of the flow of raw sewage, I think the flow of raw sewage will be addressed pretty quickly, because these establishment Republican business chamber of commerce types will start acting. And of course, the Democrats also get those campaign contributions. They'll start acting. So I think we have to do this. And if you want to declare a public health emergency, I think you don't have to wait for Governor Gavin Newsom to issue one of his COVID-like orders. County of San Diego, this is your border. These are your beaches and bays. And so the public health officer of the County of San Diego has the authority under California public health law, emergency provisions, to declare a public health emergency and shut the border down. You can even send sheriff's deputies down. By golly, we sent sheriff's deputies down to harass restaurant owners and people who were on the beach when they were not supposed to, because they said that if you're on the beach, you might spread COVID. Again, absurd. But yeah, let's confront this issue. Let's take a hard nose to it. I would like to see Republicans stand up and start raising these issues the way I am. Is this provocative? You damn right it's provocative. I think we ought to provoke on this issue, because I'm damn sick and tired of seeing sewage water contaminating our environment. And I'm an environmentalist, and I think you are too. All right, that's the story. Let's get on to the next one. Los Angeles Times, in Los Angeles. We'll get to the LA Times in a moment. That's right. They're up to their no good gaslighting tricks again. Here's the headline. Let me shut off the audio here. LA private school. Stop it. LA private school forced to close over intrusions by homeless drug users, indecent exposure around local hotel. Ever heard of a snow day for kids? I went to school on the East Coast for high school and college, and we used to look at the weather reports and, oh my goodness, school's canceled. Yay, it snowed. We have a free day. Well, you have snow days and you have hobo days, apparently, in LA. Hobo days in LA, snow days anywhere else. The hobo days is when the homeless drug pushers and users, or the indecent exposure people, create such a risk to students that they have to do the right thing, the administrators, and shut down the school. It's the private school serving the city's Black and Latino youth. Oh, the racism of it. Closed its doors because of the homeless crisis, according to the lawsuit. It's the Academy of Media Arts, founded by Dana Hammond. She's now filing suit, claiming there was a breach of contract with the building where the school is located. And she joined Fox News. She says, quote, there is a breach of contract and an extension that the city continues to house over 400 of the highest needs individuals, homeless individuals, that are suffering from drug illness and drug addiction. It is insane. She's went on to say students have to deal with individuals who are nude in the back, doing drugs in the back of the school. It's just on and on, smoking marijuana in front of our school. Probably worse than that. And in fact, Hammond says that the city contracted with LA Grand Hotel to provide, basically turn it into a homeless shelter, and that school officials have found crack pipes and drugs on the property, as well as human feces. There's that feces again. We have feces coming in from the Mexican government officials, as well as feces from homeless people that Democrat politicians refuse to deal with. On to the LA slimes, shall we? Charter schools banned from hundreds of LA Unified School District campuses. I'm not going to show you the full article, but it's just part of the pattern of attacking charter schools because these failing public schools don't want the competition. They don't care about kids. If they cared about kids, they'd say, yeah, sure. If you want to open a charter school, mi casa es su casa. Charter schools are publicly financed as well. And they're supposed to be able, under state law, they're supposed to be able to use the facilities that our bonds, our tax payments pay for. But they're not allowing that anymore in LA. They are assaulting and attacking the charter schools. And that's because they don't want the competition. And they're sick of being embarrassed by charter schools that give better academic outcomes for students. This should be something that Democrats and Republicans should be screaming about. But nope, quiet silence. One last story to hit on, and that is an op-ed in the LA Times. And I'm not surprised by this gaslighting. It's a column, an op-ed by Michael Hilzik. Taxpayer protection or taxpayer deception. A new ballot measure aims to destroy state and local budgets. You asshat, Michael Hilzik. You are absolutely fundamentally dishonest. The Taxpayer Protection Initiative is what he's talking about, which is an initiative that I'm strongly backing. Reform California helped collect signatures. All told, our coalition collected 1.4 million signatures in 2023, got it on the ballot. It's now on the ballot for 2024, November, and we're going to be pushing hard to get a yes vote. What it does is it restores Prop 13. It protects Prop 13. It requires honest ballot titles be put on any tax increases in the future so that politicians can't deceive voters by hiding tax increases inside a gobbledygook of deceptive ballot title language. This asshat, Michael Hilzik, is saying, oh, it's deception. Taxpayer deception? You're protecting the very tax and spend liberal Democrats who are lying to voters, and you say that we're deceiving people? Again, if you have a subscription to LA Times, cancel your subscription. Just get rid of the subscription entirely. So I really encourage you to see what's going on here. We are going to have the media lie about our ballot measure and basically say that we're deceiving people when in fact we're trying to give honest ballot titles on all tax increases going forward so voters know exactly what they're voting on. This is the sort of fraud I mean, the LA Times is guilty of fraud by even allowing this column to appear. And of course, part of the argument he makes is, oh, if we have a tax limitation measure, government won't be able to function. We pay the highest taxes in the nation here in California, the highest income taxes, gas taxes, car taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, across the board. How much more do you want, Michael? Oh, government is starving. Now working families are getting crushed by your tax and spend liberal politicians that you are defending and propping up. Good God. I mean, I get that people can have differences of opinion, but this is outright deception, dishonesty, and fraud. Got to be called out. All right. I want you to remember we do have our voter guide at Reform California, and we are distributing it through you. You are the method by which we distribute the plain English voter guide from Reform California. Go to electionguidecalifornia.org, electionguidecalifornia.org. Click on one of the voter guides that's up there, either the California statewide one, or if you're lucky enough, we actually have local guides for certain regions of the state. Not all regions are covered, but we're trying to expand as many as possible. Plus, if you live in Southern California, join me at an upcoming event. We have barbecue, beer, and ballot events coming up in the next 3 weeks. To boost turnout in the election. These events are free, so bring a friend, and we walk through the plain English voter guide, and we answer your questions. We're also going to be collecting signatures on the initiative to repeal Prop 47 and make crime illegal again in California. Lots coming up. We are absolutely working our tails off in this March primary election on so many fronts. Share the voter guide. Come to one of the events in Southern California if you can. For some barbecue, beer, and ballot talk. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.